Yeah, I'm curious your take on what happened and what this means for your party going forward.
Sure. Well, I was all over social media this morning, basically talking about how people really need to look at the Virginia map, because it looks a lot like America, which the American electoral map from 2016, which is coastal cities plus very high density areas, whether it's America or Virginia, voted overwhelmingly for the Democrats. And then you've got the rest of the state, and for the country, basically the entire middle of the country, just a sea of red. And so we need to take lessons from that even though the Democrats won, there's some really important lessons. One is that the Democratic demographic for winning elections has not necessarily changed. That's a bad thing for 2020 if Democrats plan on trying to win the Electoral College. You know, we hear all over about Hillary winning the popular vote, and that Democrats can always get more votes than Republicans can, but that's not how our system works. The really bad news for Republicans beyond last night is that they still have a huge problem coming up in the midterms. All of these House races and all the Senate races are mini popular votes to win these seats. And it's not looking good for Republicans when they need to appeal to the two-thirds of voters that are not the Trump's base.
Yeah. Bryan, I would say, speaking of Virginia, that maybe the problem is how we're representing graphically that win. Because, yeah, you look at the state of Virginia, and 3/4 of the state is red and 1/4 of the state roughly. I mean, I'm just doing this off the top of my head. I don't know the exact percentages, but basically about 1/4 of the state is blue and about 3/4 is red. But that's comparing political affiliation with geography. I think if you were to compare political affiliation with population instead, which is a more useful way of measuring political impact, land doesn't vote, people do, then what you would have seen is a graphic that 2 years ago, or 4 or 6 years ago, when Virginia was far more Republican than it is today, where the whole state would look more red than blue. And now, if you're looking just population-wise, you're going to see that the whole state is more blue than red. I mean, I don't think that you can draw, significant, consequential, meaningful, long-term political implications from looking at a map.
Well, I think you absolutely can, because the way our system was set up was to sort of de-emphasize population centers and overall vote numbers, and to emphasize to give more power, a weighted power, to those rural areas. That's why the Senate was created.
Right.
Was to specifically value the smaller, less populated states by giving them equal.
Well, actually, it wasn't the smaller, less populated states, because the southern states were well populated. It was just that they had a much lower population of white people. I mean, this was to preserve the institution of slavery. This was to give both small states like Delaware, but more importantly, small states like Georgia that had a small population of white people, a large population of slaves, to give them, what they felt was their due in terms of representation.
Well, we debate about that. I disagree with the slavery contention, but there's a reason that the founders developed this system the way they did. It was to prevent the basically tyranny of the majority, or the complete popular vote winning or being valued over everything else.
But the tyranny of the majority is the definition of democracy, Bryan.
Not necessarily. Well, we live in a constitutional republic. We don't live in a pure democracy. So if people want to change that system, then they can go about the 100-year project of attempting to change that. I prefer, and I think Republicans prefer, to try and win in the system that we have.
Okay, Bryan Pruitt with redstate.org. Bryan, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, Democrats are well situated, Tom.
I think so. We got a boogie, Bryan.